Andrew Lutfy is the president of Groupe Dynamite. You know Dynamite and garage stores across Quebec, across Canada, across the U.S. Well, he has is taking on the Quebec government over their lack of attention to something that's very important to his company, which is doing business. Andrew Lutfy is on the phone. Andrew, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Great to be back on.
So, you use the word, for people who don't know, your company operates 170 some odd stores in Canada, another 127 in the U.S. You do almost $1 billion in business. Your head office here in Montreal employs about 600 people. You asked the Quebec government to help you out, and my understanding is not only did they not help you out, they didn't even get back to you. So bring us up to date. What is the story here?
Yeah, that's correct. So listen. So I think you painted the right picture, and I'll add to your description. We did an IPO. We went public. I'm going to say about 9 months ago. Listen, it's been an absolute success. The stock is almost up 3x from the IPO. That much being said, just from order of magnitude, and it's not about boasting it's just more about highlighting the issue. So Groupe Dynamite's value today, just to put in perspective, is even greater than that of Air Canada. So I know a lot of people grew up with, Dynamite stores or garage stores, and it's like, oh, my little homegrown store. But today we've really grown into a very large organization, and the vast majority of our revenues come out of the USA. As a matter of fact, the entire reason why we went public and the entire reason why we have this valuation is because of our international business, predominantly the USA, and so on and so forth. Now, we went into the U.S., I'm going to say about 20 years ago. In the first 10 years, we really didn't do very well. We got our heads kind of kicked in. We lost money for ages. And then around 10 years ago, we did a little pivot, and we started hiring leaders from the USA who are really empathetic to those markets for which we are looking to grow in and take market share from. And we brought these leaders from Columbus and from Florida and from New York, and California back to Montreal, integrated them into our head office. And with that experience, the competency, winning track record, and empathy for that customer, well, we really turned that business around. And today, we actually outperform in the U.S. relative to even Canada, and we're certainly, the darling taking market share from other American retailers.
So let me ask then, what's the nature of the dispute with the Quebec government then?
So the issue is that's great, and I'm going to say today we have about 15, let's say, leaders. So if you think about my president, the president of Groupe Dynamite, and probably a third of the senior executive team, as well as many specialized individuals in talent or marketing, they're all American, and they're all here on work visas. Uh-huh. And collectively, these leaders who are leading this organization, the average weighted length of time of these visas is roughly about 13 months. Meaning, if nothing happens and these visas don't get renewed, then I am left with no leaders in 13 months. And really, that's an unacceptable risk for Groupe Dynamite at this stage in the game. And again, it's not just Andrew Lutfy. This is, we have a legal board, and there's 8 board members, and this is identified as a top risk to the company.
Let me understand this. Hold on, let me understand this. So they come here, they get a visa for 13 months. The issue is, at the end of 13 months, you risk losing this talent that you have within the company. Is that it?
Sort of. They get a visa for anywhere from 1 to 3 years.
Okay.
And I'm just saying, if you take all these executives who are key individuals who are here on visas, and you figure out the average weighted length of time of all those individuals, it's 13 months. So I'm just saying, as an average, they expire in 13 months. And yes, so correct. And if nothing really happens, then I'm losing, this strategic workforce.
So what did you ask, or what were you asking the government to do, to give you some clarity?
So my ask to the government is really simple, right? We need certainty. The stakes are very high. We're growing by leaps and bounds, fortunately, knock on wood, and we intend on continuing to grow. I would be desirous of keeping my head office here in Montreal, but I need immigration assurance of key critical workforce. So meaning I need some sort of call it an agreement, a 10-year agreement that gives me certainty here under this certain very, framework, then these, very select roles or roles, if you will. You can get fast track immigration. You can have certainty. Whereas right here, right now, aside from we'll talk about renewing those individuals who currently have visas. There's zero assurance that we can renew any of these people. Zero. And furthermore, we need to bring in additional talent, and there's really no ability. Well, listen, it's really on a case-by-case basis. And to me, I say in French, they call these successful businesses, let's say, or business for which we're proud, we call it des fleurons québécois. The Montreal Canadiens is a fleuron québécois. When Jeff Molson does a trade, he doesn't have to then, after he does the trade, make it subject to immigration, for which we'll find out in 9 months whether the player gets in or not. So I don't really see, a distinction, if you will.
So it doesn't seem like you're asking for a lot, but you're making it seem like you wrote, I think the quote is, you're disgusted by how Quebec is handling these issues. So what have they done? What have they said? Has there been contact?
Well, listen, so for 2 years, I've been working with different agencies, right? Immigration, economy and whatnot. And listen, they give me the audience and we'll look into it. Of course, nothing happens. So I'm disgusted with that and with that lack of responsiveness, and fundamentally, for such a apparent pro-business government, they are anything but pro-business. So yes, now and I did that story, which was really a little editorial piece in La Presse, and quite frankly, between you and I would have never guessed that it would have gotten this kind of reaction. So, I would say all media channels pretty well blew up yesterday, and and I would say these politicians over the CAC, got caught flat-footed. And so all of a sudden, now they're all reaching out to me.
All right, continue our conversation with Groupe Dynamite CEO Andrew Lutfy, based on a story in La Presse yesterday, where Andrew, I want to make sure I have this right. You're saying maybe the thing to do for a company based in Montreal but doing the bulk of its business in the U.S., maybe it's time to pick up and leave Montreal or leave Quebec. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is I need the talent that is driving that business. I need assurance that the talent that is driving that business can stay in Montreal. Number one. Number two, we're growing. I need to know that that I could bring in additional talent to keep driving that business, not only in the U.S., but even now when we go off to the U.K., we're going to be looking to hire individuals from the U.K. I need to know that I have that certainty to manage our critical workforce. And without that, then we're out of here.
Okay. With respect, as we're talking here, people are texting in saying, are you not able to find these people in executive positions? We're not talking about people working in a retail store now. Are you not able to find these people in Canada?
Not for the roles for which are of issue. So if you think about, for example, accounting, finance, lease administration, even HR, and many operational roles, supply chain, logistics, no issues. We can find that talent here in Canada. There's zero concern. The issue is when you start getting into product design, product merchandising, product global sourcing, right? Marketing, branding, all that kind of stuff. Those are really, this is an art form. So it's no different than any art form, music, singing, whatever. These are art forms. And we end up selecting individuals from those markets for which we want to grow in. So if it's, let's say, from the Midwest, we will hire individuals from the Midwest who come to us with a proven track record, with proven success, and, with that competency, they come in, they end up teaching our Quebec-based, team players and so on and so forth, and that's how we end up making it work. But you need that leadership that is that has a proven track record, that is empathetic to that market,
who understand that market, right? Because you're selling into the U.S. and that's your biggest market. I get it.
If ever you go and I don't know, you've been to Texas, or sometimes just walking through Miami or California or L.A. or somewhere or New Jersey, sometimes you could be walking through a shopping center or high street and you could feel like, oh my God, I look around at the people, I feel like an alien, right? It's really hard to empathize, and you can't wait to get home. Well, We need people who really get those people to be able to act
Okay.
and lead.
Is the government, the provincial government, limiting your ability to do that going forward?
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, listen. It's a case of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, they've really clamped down on immigration. And I appreciate there's big immigration issues, like whether it's asylum seekers or whether it's I don't know, all kinds of blue collar immigration or asylum seekers and so on and so forth. I appreciate that. But what I'm talking about is probably 0.1%. These are economic immigrants that are needed not only for Groupe Dynamite but also in very specialized areas, including the Montreal Canadiens, for which they need to make some sort of exception. I mean, the economic impact of a Groupe Dynamite, and I'm just saying ourselves by way of example, I think we throw back about $250 million directly and indirectly back into the coffers of the province of Quebec. That supports $6 billion of debt. $6 billion of debt. So it's great to say, Groupe Dynamite, too bad, so sad, leave. There is a real ramification. There is, and it's not like Quebec is actually attracting anyone new to come into the province, right? Because, many other issues, businesses or new investments, I should say. So I think consequently, seriously, it makes sense to be retaining those great businesses for which we do have.
So listen, we have heard privately from businesses, a variety of businesses, not really happy with how difficult it is to run their businesses in this province. For you to go public and basically call out the government, people might say that's courageous. People might say that's dangerous. People say you're asking for trouble. Why did you choose to do that?
I would say number one, I discussed this with the board, right? You got to be careful with public company governance. So I discussed this with the board. This is identified as a top risk to the board. So we are all aligned. We are prepared, and we're prepared to speak publicly on it. And it's just too important an issue, and we really don't have much to lose. We just opened a distribution center in the U.S. in Columbus, Ohio, this past summer. So listen, moving to the U.S., incredibly, incredibly disruptive. But listen, if that's what sustainability and growth for Groupe Dynamite is all about, then that's what we got to do. And, gone are the days of being a family business where I only had to answer to myself.
Right.
Today I have to answer to many stakeholders, many shareholders. And based on the valuation of the organization, they're expecting miracles from me. So I really can't afford to have my executive team on a 13-month leash, with zero certainty.
So if you were to pick up, if you don't get any help or any reaction, which apparently you haven't gotten much from the Quebec government so far, I know things will change based on the fact you've gone public. But
I've got, in the last 24 hours, I've gotten a lot of reaction. So it remains to be seen. Maybe we'll check in the month of November and see what's going on. But continue your thought.
I was going to say if you don't, then it's simply a matter of picking up and leaving. If you leave, then that's 600 jobs in head office that leave with you. Is that right?
I think it's more like 700. That's the white-collar front office. But listen, we employ probably 1,700 or 1,800 in Quebec in total. And, so...
Yeah, but you're not going to close your stores here even if you
leave.
No.
No. At head office is just head office, white-collar would be 700.
And you're prepared to do that if push comes to shove?
Yeah. Listen, my leaders these leaders, right, who are responsible fundamentally for this business, let me tell you, when they saw that article, they were kind of clicking their heels because they'd be probably very happy to move somewhere back into the U.S.
By the way, are those people in those positions able to bring their families here?
They are able to bring their families, and then again, there's the immigration rules have changed once again more recently in the last year or so, whereby depending on the role, great, we can maybe get you in the province, right? We can get you in, but your spouse is not allowed to work. Imagine. So I'm bringing in these high performing white collar individuals, okay. And odds are, if you're in a relationship, you're probably in a relationship with somebody who's equally high performing, right? Your spouse or your partner. Well, they're not allowed to work. Anyways, there's so many issues, and it really is just getting worse and worse as the years go by. I mean, there's problems at the federal level but the narrowest, part of this throat is really at the provincial level. To me, should we be able to work it out at the provincial level, I'm very confident that the federal would end up supporting.
By the way, we reached out to try to get a comment from the provincial government. I thought we tried the Labor Minister, Jean Boulet. Apparently, it's not his file. We were told to go to Jean-François Roberge, who, of course, is the language minister, among others. I want to read you. We translated from the French what he said. This is specifically to what you've been talking about. It says, and I'm reading verbatim, immigration policies are made with respect to our capacity to welcome immigrants, which has too often been surpassed. We'll still continue to welcome new talents. Don't misunderstand our intentions. We still continue to welcome people in Quebec every year, people that master the language, that contribute to Quebec. That continues. The urgency is in Ottawa's court. Ottawa needs to take its responsibilities and lower the number of temporary foreign workers in Montreal and in Laval. So he's not addressing you directly, but he's addressing companies that want to do this.
Again, it's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, what they're talking about is refugees and so on and so forth, but there's two parts there. So one, they're talking about refugees, they're talking about blue-collar workers and so on and so forth. There was also a second part, as long as they respect our language criteria. Well, guess what? When you're bringing someone in from Los Angeles, they don't speak French. When you're bringing someone in from Manchester English, they don't speak French, right? Maybe we'll give them courses and maybe they'll eventually learn it, but they don't come in, respecting the criteria for which he's referring to.
One last question really quick. Sure. Now that you've gone public, have you heard from other people as well, other people in business at this level saying good for you to say what you said, or anybody reach out?
Aaron, that has got to be the most heartwarming thing, right? When you put out a story like that, you really are taking a heck of a risk. I was expecting the stock price to be down 10%, and I was expecting all kinds of hate mail and whatnot, and quite the contrary. I mean, knock on wood, the stock went up a touch. But more importantly, I must have gotten at least 100 or 150 emails, text messages from 80% of them from people I know, but people I don't know or people I knew from a long, long time ago, reaching out and saying, thank God, we thought we were alone. We're living this. Thank God you're speaking up. Thanks for having the courage. Thanks for exposing this. If there is anything that we can do, anything, to support, we're here.
Okay.
And please let us know. So I honestly feel like there's an opportunity for a movement here to happen. I mean, from CEOs of companies to for retirees to individuals to bankers to senior bankers, CEOs of banks, all different walks of life.
I'll leave it at that. I thank you for the time, Andrew. Always appreciate it.
Pleasure.
I wish you the best. Take good care.
Thank you.
Andrew Lutfy, president of the Dynamite Group. We'll see how if the government reacts beyond the statement that I read.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.